I didn't even make it to my desk. The security guard was already standing by the elevator like he'd been waiting for me. His eyes avoided mine. "Morning, Mark," I said, forcing a smile. He didn't smile back. "HR needs you upstairs." I knew. I felt it in my chest before my brain could admit it. On the 14th floor, the conference room door was open. Inside sat Karen from HR and my manager, Brent. Brent wouldn't look at me. His hands were folded like he was praying this would end quickly. Karen gave me the corporate smile. "Mark, please have a seat." I stayed standing. "What is this?" Brent cleared his throat. "It's restructuring." "Restructuring," I repeated. The word tasted like metal. Karen slid a folder across the table like it was a menu. "Today is your last day. Your access has been disabled. We'll escort you to your desk to collect personal items." My ears rang. My access disabled? Brent finally looked at me, not with anger, not with regret, just with that tired look people wear when they decide your life is no longer their problem. "Mark," he said quietly, "you should have planned better." That sentence hit harder than the layoff, like I was irresponsible, like my children were a consequence of bad budgeting. I wanted to shout. I wanted to slam the folder in his face. Instead, I swallowed it all, because that's what men do when they don't know how to break without making noise. 2 minutes later, I was walking through the office behind a security guard like a criminal. My coworkers pretended not to see me. A few stared and quickly looked away. At my desk, my computer screen was already locked out. My email, my files, my entire life for the last 8 years, gone. I grabbed the only things that mattered, a picture of my wife Lily and our 2 kids at the beach, and a tiny drawing my daughter had made with shaky crayons. It said, "Daddy is my hero." My hands started trembling. I stuffed everything into a cardboard box and followed the guard back to the elevator. When the doors closed, I finally let my face collapse. I drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. At a red light, my phone buzzed, a notification from my bank app, payment overdue. I laughed once, a dry, broken sound. Then I looked at the calendar on my dashboard. Rent due in 7 days. I whispered to myself, what am I going to do? When I walked into the apartment, Lily was at the kitchen table paying bills. She looked up, smiled at first, then froze when she saw the box in my hands. "No," she said, like she could reverse time with one word. I set the box down slowly. "I got laid off." Her lips parted. No sound came out. From the living room, our son shouted happily, "Dad, you're home early." I wanted to answer with a joke. I wanted to sound normal, but all I could think was, I have 7 days to save my family.
Lily didn't cry right away. That would have been easier. She just stared at the bills like they had personally betrayed her. "How much do we have?" she asked, voice tight. I swallowed. 912. She blinked. "That's everything?" I nodded. "Rent is $14.50. Silence filled the kitchen, the kind that makes your skin itch. From the living room, cartoons played. Our kids laughed like the world was still safe. Lily finally looked at me. Her eyes were red but dry. "What's the plan?" I hated that question, not because she asked, because I didn't have an answer. "I'll find something," I said. "How?" "I'll apply everywhere." She pushed the bills aside, stood up, and started washing a plate that was already clean, just to do something with her hands. "You know what scares me?" she said quietly. "Not the money. It's watching you disappear." I felt the words like a punch. "I'm right here." She shook her head. "You're here, but you're not." That night, after the kids went to bed, I sat on the couch with my laptop, sending out applications until my eyes burned. Customer service, warehouse, sales, anything. 20 applications, 30, 40. By midnight, my inbox was still empty. I refreshed again. Nothing. At 1:12 a.m., I heard Lily in the bedroom whispering on the phone. I didn't mean to listen, but the apartment was small, and fear has sharp ears. "It happened," she said. "They laid him off." A pause. Then, "No, he doesn't know what we're going to do." I stood frozen. Another pause. "Please don't say that," Lily whispered. "He's trying." I backed away quietly, my chest tight. Trying. That's what people say when the fight is almost over. The next morning, I woke up early and drove to the unemployment office. The line wrapped around the building. Men in work boots, women holding toddlers, everyone wearing the same exhausted expression. When it was finally my turn, the worker glanced at my paperwork without emotion. "It'll take a few weeks to process," she said. "A few weeks?" I repeated. "I don't have a few weeks." She shrugged. "Next." On the way out, my phone buzzed again. Bank alert, overdraft fee charged. My stomach dropped. I pulled into a gas station and stared at the pump prices like they were mocking me. I put in $10, just enough to get home. Back in the car, I opened Facebook out of desperation. I saw a post from a neighborhood group, looking for someone to clean a garage this weekend, paying cash. I stared at it, then I read it again. Clean a garage. I thought of my old job title, operations manager. I thought of the suit in my closet. And then I thought of rent. I typed, "I can do it, reliable and hardworking." My finger hovered over send like it weighed 100 pounds. Then I pressed it. A minute later, a reply popped up. "Can you come today?" My heart hammered. Today? I looked down at my hands and suddenly realized something terrifying. I didn't know who I was without my job. But my kids didn't need a title. They needed food. They needed rent paid. They needed me to survive. I drove home, opened the closet, pulled out my oldest jeans and a plain gray hoodie. Lily watched from the doorway. "Where are you going?" she asked. I grabbed a pair of rubber gloves we kept under the sink. "I'm going to work," I said. And for the first time since I got laid off, I meant it.
The house was nicer than anything I'd ever owned. A wide driveway, fresh paint, perfect lawn. The kind of place where people say we're blessed and actually believe it. I parked my beat-up sedan next to a shiny SUV and sat there for a moment, breathing hard. I felt like an imposter. Then I checked the address again and forced myself out. A woman opened the door before I even knocked. Late 40s, perfectly styled hair, eyes already scanning me like she was judging a delivery. "Your Mark?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," I said. She looked past me at my car. "You don't have a truck." "No, but I can do the work." She sighed like she was doing me a favor. "Shoes off, follow me." The garage smelled like dust and old cardboard, mountains of boxes stacked like a wall. She pointed to everything. "I want all of this organized. Trash goes out, donation pile there, keep pile there." Then she added, without looking at me, "And be careful, some of those boxes have expensive things." Expensive things. I nodded and got to work. For the first hour, I moved in silence, sweating under the hoodie, lifting boxes that weighed more than my pride could handle. My back started aching. My hands turned dusty. At one point, she walked in holding her phone and said loudly, "Yes, I hired someone to clean it. Poor guy looks like he really needs the money." She laughed, soft, casual, like she was talking about a stray dog she fed once. I froze, jaw tight, but kept working, because rent didn't care about dignity. 3 hours later, my arms shook from exhaustion. Then it happened. I lifted a box from a top shelf, and the bottom ripped open. Old junk spilled everywhere, tools, papers, and a framed photo cracked on the concrete. The woman rushed in like I committed a crime. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "I'm sorry," I said quickly, dropping to my knees. "The box tore." She stared at the broken frame like it was a body. "That was my husband's photo," she said coldly. I picked it up carefully, hands trembling. The glass was shattered, but the picture was still there. a man in military uniform, smiling. "I'm really sorry," I repeated. Her eyes narrowed. "This is why I hate hiring random people from Facebook." Random people. I swallowed the anger and stood. "I'll replace the frame." "With what money?" She laughed. "You people always say that." You people. I felt my face burn. I wanted to walk out. I wanted to throw the whole pile of boxes right back where it came from. But then my daughter's drawing flashed in my mind. Daddy is my hero. Heroes don't quit because someone is cruel. Heroes finish the job. I worked faster, harder, organized every box, swept every corner, took every trash bag outside. By the end, the garage looked brand new. The woman walked through, arms crossed. She didn't say good job. She just pulled out cash from her purse and counted it slowly, like she wanted me to feel each bill. 200, she said, placing it in my hand. I nodded. Thank you. She paused. Don't let the front door hit you. I left without saying anything. In the car, I stared at the money. $200. It was the most humiliating paycheck of my life, and also the first time in weeks I felt oxygen enter my lungs. I drove straight to the grocery store, bought milk, bread, chicken, real food. When I got home, Lily looked into the bags like she was seeing a miracle. How did you? She started. I placed the cash on the counter. Garage cleaning. Her expression changed. She didn't smile. She looked at me like she was worried. Mark, she whispered, you can't do this forever. I leaned closer, voice low. I'm not doing this forever. I'm doing it until we don't have to beg anymore. That night, after everyone slept, I opened my laptop again. But this time, I didn't apply for jobs. I searched. How to start a cleaning business. How to get clients fast. Next door marketing tips. I wasn't looking for survival anymore. I was looking for a way out.
The next morning, I printed 20 flyers at the public library. Affordable home cleaning, reliable, same-day service. I didn't have a logo. I didn't have a company name. I didn't even have a business card. But I had desperation and 2 working hands. I grabbed a roll of tape and walked the neighborhood like a man on a mission. Mailbox after mailbox, door after door. Half the houses ignored me. One guy yelled, "No soliciting," like I was trying to sell a cult. A woman opened her door, looked at the flyer and said, "We don't need help," then paused. "Actually, you look tired. You okay?" That simple question almost made me break. "I'm fine," I lied. At noon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered so fast I almost dropped it. "Hello? Is this Mark?" a man asked. "Yes? My wife saw your flyer. We need a move-out cleaning today. Can you come?" My heart jumped. "Yes, absolutely." He hesitated. "You got supplies?" "I do," I said. I didn't. I hung up and ran to the dollar store like my life depended on it, because it did. Bought bleach, gloves, trash bags, brushes, paper towels. It wasn't fancy, but it was honest work. The house was empty and dirty, the kind of place where you could smell stress in the walls. I cleaned for 6 hours straight. Sweat soaked my shirt. Bleach burned my nose. But when the wife came back, she stood in the doorway and said, "Oh my God." Then she turned to her husband. "This is spotless." The husband nodded. "How much?" I swallowed, afraid I'd price wrong. $250? He didn't argue. He handed me $300. "Keep the change," he said. "You saved us." Saved us. That night I drove home with shaky hands, not because I was tired, because I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. But the universe doesn't let you climb without throwing stones. 2 days later, I got my first Yelp review. 1 star. The comment said, "Sketchy guy, cheap work, would not trust in my home." I stared at it, blood rushing in my ears. I hadn't even asked anyone for a review yet. I clicked the profile.
No picture, no history. Fake. My phone buzzed. Another notification. Another one-star review. Then another. In 1 hour, my business looked like a scam. I sat in the car outside my apartment, hands gripping the wheel. Someone was trying to kill this before it even breathed. When I went upstairs, Lily saw my face and knew. "What happened?" she asked. I showed her the screen. She read the reviews and her mouth fell open. "That's not true," she whispered. "I know. So who—" I didn't answer because the truth was already forming in my head. There was only one cleaning company in our neighborhood that people always used. Bright Star Cleaning. And the owner? A guy named Troy. Troy used to work under me at my old job. He wasn't just a competitor. He was someone who hated me. Because last year, when he got caught stealing supplies from the warehouse, I reported it, and he got fired. I remembered his face that day, the way he stared at me and said, "You'll regret this." I stared at my phone again. My business wasn't even a business yet, and Troy was already trying to bury me alive. Lily's voice shook. "Mark, maybe this is a sign. Maybe you should just find a job." I looked at her, calm but burning inside. "No," I said. "This is not a sign to stop." I stepped closer, lowered my voice like a promise. "This is a sign I'm doing something right."
The next day, I woke up before sunrise. Not because I was motivated, because I was scared. Fake reviews could kill me faster than losing my job ever did. In this business, trust was everything, and Troy knew it. Miguel came over with coffee and a serious look. "You saw it?" he asked. I nodded. "He's trying to bury us." Miguel shook his head. "So what do we do?" I opened my laptop. "We do what he can't." I took a deep breath and posted again on Nextdoor, this time with my face in the photo. No logo, no marketing tricks, just me. "Hi, neighbors. My name is Mark Reynolds. I got laid off recently, and I'm doing honest cleaning work to support my family. If you have any concerns about fake reviews, message me directly. I'm happy to meet before the job. Thank you." I expected people to ignore it, but something happened that surprised me. Comments poured in. "Sorry you're going through this. We need someone for weekly cleaning. I've seen Bright Star do shady stuff before." And then one comment from an older woman named Mrs. Donna Fields. "I hired Mark yesterday for a move-out clean. He worked like his life depended on it, because it did. I vouch for him." That comment hit me like a warm blanket. One person believed me, and that was enough to keep my legs moving. Within 24 hours, I had 5 bookings. Not huge money, but steady. Miguel and I worked non-stop. We cleaned kitchens so greasy my gloves turned yellow. We scrubbed bathrooms where the smell wouldn't leave my nose for hours. We hauled trash bags until our backs screamed. And I started to learn the real business lesson no one taught me in an office. If you show up every time, people remember. By the end of the week, I had my first repeat client, a single mom named Renee. She opened the door holding a toddler on her hip, exhausted eyes, and said, "I'm sorry, the house is a mess." I smiled. "That's why I'm here." After the cleaning, she handed me cash and whispered, "Thank you, seriously, I've been drowning." I nodded, but inside, I felt something heavy, because I knew that drowning feeling. That night, Lily sat across from me at the kitchen table. The kids were asleep, the bills were still there, but now there was a small stack of cash beside them. "I'm proud of you," Lily said softly. I stared at my hands. "I don't feel proud." "Why?" "Because I'm still terrified," I admitted. "Every day I wake up scared it's all gonna collapse again." Lily reached across the table and held my hand. "Then we keep building," she said. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the next morning, my phone buzzed with a message that made my stomach drop. "Yelp notice. Your account has been flagged for suspicious activity." My profile was hidden.
All my good comments disappeared. It was like someone erased my existence. Miguel read the screen and cursed under his breath. "He did it," he said. I didn't speak. I couldn't, because Troy wasn't just leaving fake reviews anymore. Now he was trying to remove me completely. And if I didn't stop him soon, my family wasn't just going to struggle. We were going to lose everything.
I drove to Bright Star Cleaning's office the same day my Yelp account disappeared. Not to fight, not to threaten, just to look Troy in the eyes. The office was small but flashy, big banner, bright logo, pictures of happy staff on the wall. A receptionist looked up. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see Troy," I said. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but he knows me." 2 minutes later, Troy walked out like a king, smiling the kind of smile that had poison behind it. "Well, well, Mark Reynolds." "The boss who got me fired." I stayed calm. "Stop messing with my business." Troy laughed. "Business? You mean your little side hustle?" "It's not a hustle," I snapped. "It's my kid's food." Troy stepped closer. "Then you should have thought about that before you ruined my life." "I didn't ruin your life," I said. "You stole." He shrugged. "And you snitched." I felt my hands shake, but I didn't raise them, because that was what he wanted. Troy smiled wider. "Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna quit, or every platform you touch will shut you down." I stared at him. "You can't do that forever." He leaned in. "Watch me." I walked out without another word, chest full of fire. Miguel waited in the car. He read my face. "He admit it?" "He didn't have to," I said. That night, Lily found me at the kitchen table, staring at my phone like it was a bomb. "What are we going to do?" she asked quietly. I whispered, "I don't know." Lily's voice cracked. "I don't want the kids to see us fall apart." I opened my old work laptop. "I'm done being invisible," I said. That night, I built a simple website, Reynolds Cleaning, family-owned, honest work. Then I recorded a video in our tiny kitchen, no script, no filter. My name is Mark Reynolds. I got laid off and started cleaning homes to feed my family. Someone is trying to destroy my business. If you've ever felt like the system wants you to stay down, you're not alone. My voice shook, but I posted it anyway. I didn't sleep. I refreshed the page again and again. At 2 a.m., 1 share. At 3 a.m., 5 shares. At 6 a.m., my phone started ringing. Real clients, real work. Then one call made my breath stop. Tara Jenkins, property manager. I answered. "Mark, we need you today," Tara said. "Emergency turnover cleaning, 3 units." My mouth went dry. 3 units meant real money. Then she added, "And Mark, don't worry about Yelp. We don't hire off reviews. We hire off results." I closed my eyes. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. The 3 units nearly broke me. Miguel and I worked 12 hours straight, scrubbing ovens, wiping baseboards, cleaning inside cabinets until our fingers cramped. But when Tara walked through, she nodded slowly. "This is solid," she said. "How fast can you do 2 more tomorrow?" Miguel and I looked at each other. 2 more units meant real money, but it also meant pressure we weren't ready for. I swallowed. "We'll be there." That night, I counted the payment in my car before I even drove home. $1,200. I stared at the bills like they weren't real. Then I started laughing. Quiet at first, then harder until my eyes watered. When I got home, Lily opened the door and froze. She saw my face and knew something changed. "What happened?" she asked. I walked to the kitchen and placed the cash on the table. "Rent is covered," I whispered. Lily's hands flew to her mouth. She didn't speak. She just cried, like her body finally allowed it. I held her right there in the kitchen while our kids slept in the next room. The next morning, I woke up to a knock at the door. Hard, aggressive.
I opened it and saw two men wearing Bright Star uniforms, and behind them, Troy, smiling. "Morning," Troy said. "Heard you've been busy." I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "What do you want?" Troy lifted his phone. "Just came to warn you. Some property managers don't like unlicensed crews." My stomach tightened. "I'm legal," I said. Troy tilted his head. "Are you? Because I just made a call." Miguel stepped out behind me. "Man, get lost," he said. Troy smiled wider. "You boys are playing grown-up business. You're gonna get hurt." Then he leaned closer and whispered to me, "Next time you go viral, I'll make sure you go viral for the wrong reason." He turned and walked away like he owned the sidewalk. Miguel clenched his fists. "We should knock him out." I shook my head. "That's what he wants." But inside, fear crawled up my spine, because Troy wasn't trying to slow me down anymore. He was trying to shut me down.
That night, Lily sat with me at the kitchen table again. Same bills, different fear. "You're not insured?" she asked, voice small. "I was going to do it," I said quickly. "I just needed money first." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "This could ruin us," she whispered. "I know," I said. Miguel called me. His voice was serious. "Mark, if something happens in one of those units, if we break a pipe or someone slips, we're done." "I know," I repeated. After I hung up, I looked at Lily. "I'm going to see Tara," I said. "At night?" she asked. "Yes." Tara was still in her office when I arrived. She looked surprised. "Mark?" I took a deep breath. "I need to be honest," I said. "I don't have insurance yet." Tara leaned back, disappointed. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was embarrassed," I admitted, "and because I was desperate. But I'm not a scammer. I'm a man trying to keep his family from falling apart." Tara stared at me for a long moment. Then she said quietly, "My father cleaned houses when he first came to this country." I blinked. She stood, opened a cabinet, and pulled out a card. "Call this insurance broker," she said. "Tell him Tara sent you. He'll set you up with the cheapest plan you qualify for." My eyes burned. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. Tara's voice stayed calm. "Because I can tell the difference between a criminal and a man who's trying." Then she leaned forward. "But Mark, Troy is looking for one mistake. Don't give him that satisfaction." I nodded. "I won't." The next morning, I called the broker at 8 a.m. By noon, I had basic insurance. Not perfect, but legal, real. I texted Tara the proof immediately. She replied, "Good. I'm giving you 6 more units next week." 6 units. My chest tightened. 6 meant we could breathe, but it also meant Troy would notice. And he did. That same afternoon, my website crashed. Then my phone started getting calls from strangers, angry voices. "You think this is funny?" one man shouted. I frowned. "What are you talking about? You posted my address online." My heart stopped. I opened my site. Someone had hacked it. Fake posts, fake addresses, fake promises. Troy wasn't just trying to hurt my business anymore. He was trying to destroy my name. I sat in the driver's seat outside our apartment, staring at my phone like it was a weapon pointed at my life. My website was still down. My inbox was full of angry messages from strangers, and my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Miguel paced beside the car like a caged animal. "That's it," he said. "We're calling the police." I swallowed. "They'll laugh at us," I said. "They'll say it's just internet drama." Miguel slammed his palm on the roof of my car. "So what, Mark? We just let him win?" I stared forward. No, I wasn't going to let him win. I went upstairs. Lily was sitting on the couch, hugging her knees, eyes fixed on nothing. The kids were asleep, but you could feel the tension in the apartment like a storm waiting to break. She looked up. "Are we safe?" she whispered. That question ripped something open inside me. I walked to her and knelt down. "We're safe," I said, but my voice didn't sound convincing, not even to me. Lily's lips trembled. "I don't care about reviews anymore," she said. "I don't care about money. I care about our kids." I took her hand. "I know," I said, "and that's why I'm done playing defense." That night, I did something I had avoided because it felt like admitting weakness. I called my old manager, Brent. He picked up after 3 rings. His voice was tired. "Mark?" "Yeah," I said. My throat was dry. "I need your help." Brent hesitated. "I'm sorry about what happened." "Not that," I cut in. "This is bigger. It's Troy." The name hit like a match. Brent went quiet. Then he sighed like he'd been carrying this longer than me. "You're still dealing with him?" Brent asked. "He's attacking my business," I said. "Fake reviews, reporting accounts, hacking my website. And now people are calling saying I posted their addresses." Brent cursed under his breath. "That sounds like him," he said. I tightened my grip on the phone. "What do you mean, sounds like him?" Brent paused. Then his voice turned low. "Mark, after he got fired, he didn't just threaten you, he threatened the company too." My chest tightened. "What exactly did he say?" Brent swallowed. "He said, 'I ruin reputations. I know people. I can make anyone look guilty.'" I felt my blood go cold. "Was that documented?" I asked. "Yes," Brent admitted. "HR wrote it down. We filed an incident report. Security recorded part of it." My heart started pounding harder. "Send it," I said. Brent hesitated. "I don't know if I'm allowed." "Brent," I snapped, trying not to raise my voice. "My kids are asleep in the next room. This man is targeting my family. If you ever respected me even a little, send it." A long silence. Then Brent said quietly, "Okay, I'll email what I can." When the email arrived, my hands shook again, but this time it wasn't fear, it was adrenaline. There it was, an official HR report. Troy's full name, a description of threats, a note about retaliation risk, and even a line that made my stomach twist. Troy appears unstable and fixated on Mark Reynolds. Lily watched me read it. "What is it?" she asked. I looked up slowly. "It's proof," I said. The next morning, I didn't go clean units. I drove to a small local attorney's office, not some downtown skyscraper lawyer, a modest building with old carpet and coffee that smelled burnt. The lawyer's name was Mr. Sanders, gray hair, wrinkled suit, kind eyes that looked like he'd seen too many families fall apart. He listened without interrupting while I explained everything: the layoff, the business, the reviews, the hacked website, and now the man behind it all. Mr. Sanders read the HR report twice. Then he tapped the paper and said, "This isn't just competition. This is harassment." I leaned forward. "What can I do?" He looked at me like he was measuring the strength in my bones. He said, "You can protect your name, and you can scare him the right way." He drafted a formal cease and desist letter, official language, legal consequences, screenshots attached, a warning that continued actions would result in a lawsuit and criminal complaint. When he handed it to me, my fingers felt heavy, like I was holding a loaded gun made of paper. I mailed it the same day, certified, signature required. 2 days later, Troy called me. I stared at his name on my phone. Miguel was in my kitchen drinking water. He saw my face. "Answer it," he said. I put it on speaker. "Yeah?" I said. Troy's voice wasn't playful anymore. It was sharp, angry. "How dare you send lawyers after me?" he hissed. I stayed calm. "I went after your family," I said.
Troy laughed. You think court scares me? I leaned closer to the phone. No, I said, but consequences do. There was a pause. Then Troy's voice dropped. Listen, Mark, you don't know what you're doing, he said, fake calm now. I breathed slowly. I know exactly what I'm doing, I replied. I'm ending this. Troy's tone turned cruel again. You're making a mistake. I stared at the wall, picturing my kids sleeping. Then I said the coldest truth I'd ever spoken. So did you, when you chose my family as your target. And I hung up. For the first time in months, I didn't feel powerless. I felt like a man who finally stopped begging the world for mercy. But I should have known. Men like Troy don't stop when you push back. They escalate. That night, Lily's phone buzzed. She looked down at the screen and went pale like all the blood drained from her body. I stepped closer. What is it? Her voice barely came out. It's from an unknown number. I took the phone, read the message once, then again. Tell your husband to quit or your kids will pay for it. My entire body went cold.
Lily's hand shook so badly she almost dropped her phone. I grabbed it and read the message again, then again, like my brain refused to accept the words. Tell your husband to quit or your kids will pay for it. My stomach turned. Not fear, not panic, something darker. Miguel was in the living room. He heard Lily's breath break and came rushing in. He saw the screen and his face changed instantly. That's not business, he said. That's evil. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. Mark, please. We can't do this anymore. I don't want to lose you. I held her shoulders gently, but my jaw was locked. We're not quitting, I said, but we are ending this. Within 10 minutes, we were in the car heading to the police station. The city lights blurred past my windshield as Lily sat beside me, silently crying. I kept one hand on the wheel, the other gripping her phone with the threat on the screen. At the station, the officer at the front desk listened as I explained everything. I showed him the fake reviews, the Yelp takedowns, the hacked website, the strange calls from strangers, the HR report, the cease and desist letter, and finally, the message about my kids. The officer's face tightened. He turned serious like a switch flipped. This is a direct threat involving children, he said. We don't ignore this. For the first time in weeks, I felt the world finally take my situation seriously. Not as drama, not as online stuff, as danger. They opened a report immediately. They photographed the message. They told us to save everything. They advised a restraining order. The next morning, Mr. Sanders filed it for us. And Tara did something that felt like justice wearing a suit. She called me at noon. Mark, she said, voice sharp, I heard what happened. I didn't even ask who told her. In this town, news moved faster than truth. I'm sorry, I said. Tara cut me off. Don't apologize. This wasn't your fault. Then she added, what's his company name again? Bright Star Cleaning, I answered. There was a brief silence. Then Tara said calmly, good, because I'm terminating every contract we have with them. I blinked. You're what? I manage 25 units across 3 properties, Tara said, and I'm not the only property manager who trusts my judgment. Her voice turned cold. A man who threatens children doesn't deserve business. By the end of that week, I started hearing things. Bright Star lost contracts. Bright Star's phone stopped ringing. Bright Star's drivers started quitting. Troy didn't just lose money, he lost control. Then the moment came, the one I'll never forget. McGill and I were finishing a turnover clean when I saw Troy across the parking lot, standing next to his van, eyes locked on me. His face looked thinner, angrier, like a man watching his world collapse in slow motion. He marched towards me, fast, too fast. Miguel stepped in front of me immediately.
Back up, Miguel warned. Troy pointed at me, hands shaking. You think you won? He hissed. You think you can destroy me? I stepped forward just enough to be heard. No, I said. You destroyed you. Troy's mouth opened, ready to spit poison. But then, 2 police cars rolled into the lot behind him. Troy froze. His head turned slowly toward the flashing lights. His confidence cracked, right there on his face. An officer stepped out and walked towards him. "Troy Daniels?" the officer asked. "We need to talk." I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I just stood there, breathing, while the nightmare finally faced consequences. Weeks later, Reynolds Cleaning wasn't famous. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady, real. 2 crews, property contracts, weekly clients who trusted me without Yelp telling them to. One night, my daughter handed me a new drawing, a stick-figure man holding a broom like a sword. It said, "Daddy is still my hero." I stared at it until my eyes burned. Lily leaned into my shoulder and whispered, "You didn't just save us." I swallowed hard and looked at my kids playing on the floor. "I know," I said quietly. "I built us."